Hello and welcome. In the spirit of my brand new book, The Delicate Art of Transformation, I've been on a quest for truth. What does it actually take to create real, lasting transformation? And here you are on the precipice of something big. I don't think that's a coincidence that we should ignore. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. This is where true growth and transformation happens because sometimes it's about your mindset. You're working on your thoughts and your beliefs. Sometimes it's about connecting deeper with your body. Sometimes it's stepping into success and rewiring yourself for wealth. And sometimes it's a spiritual one. But when the right person says the right thing at the right time and it all clicks, those are the moments that make all the difference. And that is what this summit is here for. You're going to hear from some incredible experts who every single one I personally invited to be here because each of them have made an impact in my life. So listen with an open heart, do what they say, take what resonates, try the practices, get their free gifts, and let this space be the place where you find your next step. My name is Talia Joy. I'm your host. And if you want all the free gifts, the resources, and the only place where you can be entered for prizes, you can join the Insider Circle for free below. All right, without further ado, take a deep breath in. Think about what you are transforming, what you are here for. And let's dive into today's episode. Hello, Kristen. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. How are you doing today, my friend?
So good. It is so good to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you again for being here. I wanted you in this summit because I really do feel that when it comes to wealth, when it comes to money, there's a physical side of it, there's an energetic side of it, and the physical side can feel really intimidating. And I love that, first of all, you blend both. Your message is definitely holistic and it's well-rounded, but you also bring us through those tangible pieces and make investing less intimidating, especially for women. And I just love that you do that. So I'm just excited to pick your brain today. And I'm so excited for your voice to be part of this summit.
Oh, good. Yeah, honestly such an honor.
So as we just launch in, if there's anyone that doesn't know who you are, that hasn't heard of you, let's just start there. Who are you? And let us know a little bit about your business.
Yeah. So I teach women how to invest in the stock market. I spent many years in my corporate career as a commodities trader. So my background is finance, picture Wolf of Wall Street. So I was, one of two women on the trading floor in a sea of gray-haired white men and making lots of money, spending all of my money. I was in a mountain of debt. I was not using my money with intention. And so this, one perfect example of the fact that your income doesn't translate to your net worth. And so even though I was making great money, it was, being evaporated on fancy clothes and boozy nights out. And I was deeply, deeply stressed. And so I ended up leaving my trading career and, went through a very long journey to figure out what was next. And I started coaching a number of women. I was doing a lot of business strategy and I was hearing women say the same thing again and again. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with money. It's just not my thing. And it was mind-boggling to me because these were smart, successful women that just had all of these crazy stories about money that were so disempowering. And investing is one area of money that is incredibly confusing, not just for women, but for everyone, because the industry is designed to keep us broke. And I had a background in finance and I spent years trading, but that doesn't translate to your own personal portfolio. So it took me a number of years to understand investing, to do the deep work, and to be able to collapse time for clients and for women now by really simplifying things. What you'll find in the investing space, I teach people how to invest in the stock market. And so it is not day trading Bitcoin, it is not gambling on high risk bets. It's actually just setting up a simple, low maintenance portfolio, the same strategy that Warren Buffett has used to create his billions. And what it creates for you is something that compounds effortlessly in the background of your life so that you're not having to work harder and harder and harder. And so for other people, sometimes they have property investments. Well, property isn't passive. There's no other thing that you have in your life that actually makes money for you without you having to do any work. You set it up once and then, it's very simple to manage going forward. And so that is really what I teach clients now because it's the only thing that creates freedom for us. And it's the one thing that most women are missing. We're exhausted. We're usually underpaid, but even when you're earning lots of money, you're not actually free. You just have a very, high paying job. And so this is such a passion for me because it is, so powerful when a woman is financially empowered and her relationship to money is different. And she also has not just the mindset and the identity, but the skills to actually grow money and compound cash and create freedom and build legacy wealth and scale her impact, not just through, a business or trading hours for dollars, but through the wealth that she has and holds and is able to circulate.
Absolutely. And I love that because it's something that I think for, I can only speak for women because I am a woman. But I think for us, whether you have a relationship, a husband, a man, a partner, whatever, or not, it's very empowering to have your own wealth generating, to have your own thing going, whether you quote unquote need it to survive or not. And it's something that I think just so many women may feel insecure with. Of course, that's your area of expertise and what we're going to talk about today, because it hasn't always been that way. I remember, my grandma saying she went into a bank and she was laughed at because her husband wasn't there and she wanted to start an account. That's not very long ago. So I'd almost love to hear before we dive further, even that about women and money and some of your, perceptions on that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the stats are, what was it? It was in the 80s that women couldn't even get a loan from a bank without a man signing for them. And so it's only been in the last, very recently in the last few decades, we've been empowered to make money. Only very recently have we been celebrated for it. And still society has a lot of programming around us that, it's fascinating. Women have shame around not earning enough. They will also have shame around earning too much. So we're like caught in this between a rock and a hard place. Like we want more money, but we have all this subconscious programming that actually keeps it away from us. And so this next phase where we actually learn how to compound cash and how to grow our money and how to actually create wealth, because money isn't wealth. Income isn't wealth. If you have to trade an hour to get it, it's not wealth. And your net worth is not based on your income. It's based on your capacity to grow money. And so it's so normal that so many women don't know how to do this because for years we couldn't even touch money on our own, right? And so, this is truly my work. You can feel really in society now, you can feel in the conversations, you can feel and hear a lot of women being hungrier and hungrier and hungrier for it. And still, the stat I heard at an event the other day was 80% of women still have their money sitting in cash and 80% of women are afraid to invest. So we've got a lot of work to do, like a lot. And that is really what I'm here to do and to create. And there are a lot of things that get in the way of women being empowered around investing. And I will break every single fucking one of them down for you because it is more simple than they want you to think. And everyone can do it.
Oh, I love that. And it just felt healing as you're saying that, because in a world where we maybe weren't, like you said, able to even touch it for ourselves, let alone be empowered. Also, a lot of the education out there was from men. And even, we're learning from men or from our dads or from our grandpas or whatever. So you being a woman teaching women, I'm sure there's men that learn from you too. But just as you were saying that, I'm like, oh, that's so empowering. It's so nurturing to even just be guided from a woman into this masculine feeling world of like, we're going to invest numbers, digits, risk, et cetera. And you're going, no, it's actually not that hard. It's just, I thank you so much for what you do. Cause even listening to you, I'm like, yes, show us the way. So let's start talking about that, either breaking it down or some of those steps that I know we're going to get into when it comes to investing.
Yeah. So the very first thing, and just to touch on what you've said around men and women, men and women have different beliefs around everything. We're socialized very differently. And so that's a factor because your beliefs create your reality. They just define what you feel in any given moment. They also define your actions, what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, right? And so those are important, and it's important that we address those. And that's why I love doing this work for women. But women are also biologically wired differently than men. Men, because of testosterone, they are literally biologically wired to be more risk-taking. And so when it comes to investing, women are very afraid to lose money. And so, of course, there's some risk. The same way when you get into a car, there's some risk that you could get into an accident, but you don't think about it all the time because you're like, I know how to get in a car and drive, so I'm willing to do it, even though for the small amount of risk. Investing is the same. So when you know how to do it, yes, the risk is there, but when you set it up properly, it's actually very, very small. And you can be so confident in it. And so that's one thing that's really important to address when it comes to the difference between men and women. And one of the other big differences, before I get into the couple of steps, is, basically step 0. Men are socialized for growth. They are socialized to ask themselves every fucking day, how do I take 10 grand and turn it into 100 grand? They're constantly, perpetually thinking about that. Women are socialized to be little savers. So we take 10 grand and we're like, how can I save this? And it's the reason that all of the world's billionaires are men, because men are constantly making moves to get them growth, to get them more finances for the money that they have. And so for women, we are taught to work very hard. So are men, but we are stuck in this loop of like, we're the money maker. So the step 0 is like, you've got to shift your identity from the money maker to the money multiplier. You have to be unwilling to trade hours for dollars until you die and start thinking every single day from right here, right now, into how can I grow every dollar that I have? Whatever is there for you. I don't care how much you have in savings or what your income is. You've got to be thinking about it now. You don't get to a certain amount and then start thinking about it. That's how you get there. And so you have to be willing to shift into that like wealth building mode. Like, how do I multiply my money? And then the 3 simple steps are this. You really want to start with the end in mind. So what I mean by that is most people, when they come to me, I'm like, do you have a goal? I stopped asking people because nobody does. They're like, just grow my money. That's like what their goal is. And of course, when you don't know what you're doing, of course, that's going to be what you say, but you have to we got to run the numbers. And so the numbers are this. You have to know your financial freedom number, and don't freak out when I say numbers. If you guys hate math, don't worry. The numbers can be run in like 30 seconds. And actually, my free gift is going to help you do this. And so stick around to the end of the episode. So you got to run the math. How much do you need in a portfolio to be covering all of your bills, to be paying you passively that covers all of your bills forever? Now, that's not going to be today, but it will be at some point in the future, right? So what is that number? How much do you need? Like, how long do you have to get there? And for those of you guys that have never thought about retirement, this isn't about retirement. This is like, what date do I want to hit that financial freedom number? And for some, you can be like, maybe it's 30 years from now. For some, you're like, I want to do it in 10. For some, you're like, okay, well, maybe I don't really know, but like, I like to have it by this date. So let's map that out. And then based on your current portfolio size or your current cash or whatever you have there, how much do you actually need to be contributing? We have 3 different numbers now, right? How much do you need to be contributing to actually get there? And are your numbers, are they completely fictitious, right? Like if you do that math and you realize you got to contribute 30 grand a month, well, we got to make a few changes, right? And so you have the opportunity now to actually set things up in a way that leads you to your long-term goals so you can make the decisions. It's like, if my numbers aren't doable at all, maybe I can lower my long-term goal. Maybe I can extend the time horizon I have. Maybe I can decide to contribute more now, but you can't do it after the fact. You can't do it when you want to retire and then you just realize the numbers are wrong. So we do that math now. It takes literally 30 seconds. So starting with the end in mind, and then all you do is you set up a simple low maintenance portfolio. And this, listen up, is a match for your risk tolerance, your timeline, and your goals. And when I say set up a simple low maintenance portfolio, it is, think about like baking a cookie. People think that investing is really complicated, but if I sent you into the kitchen, didn't tell you what you were making, gave you 7,000 ingredients and told you good luck, you'd be like, oh my God, holy shit, what do I do? But if I sent you into the kitchen and I gave you flour, sugar, butter, I told you we're making a shortbread cookie. I told you you have to do 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of sugar, and you have to put it in the oven for 25 minutes. How easy would that be? I hate being in the kitchen, but even I could do it. And so that's how simple it actually is. Now, Talia, your shortbread cookie might be a little bit sweeter than mine, or somebody might want to use gluten-free flour. So it's not the exact same thing for everyone, but it's the same foundation. Because what creates a profitable portfolio long-term we didn't just invent that. We're not reinventing the wheel every time. We can see there are reasons that, Warren Buffett has been so successful over decades and decades and decades. There's a formula, we just replicate what is working. And so within that, one one really important thing is you have to have a strategy that you trust. And one of the things that people need to do are to stop doing all the things that lose them money. Stop trying to get fancy. Stop trying to day trade options. Stop trying to, watch the market all the time. Stop trying to pick random stocks or listen to your cousin Gary, with his hot meme coin. All of that shit is going to lose you money. And most of those people, almost all of them, are not actually making any money. I literally have a friend. I saw somebody post today, who's now, after 3 weeks of doing this for herself, teaching people for $4,000 a month how to day trade options and claiming they'll make, millions of dollars. And I'm like, this is why people don't trust investing. That doesn't work. Stop trying to get fancy. Stop trying to do all these high risk things and just set up a very simple portfolio and model the billionaires who have done it before, who have come before us. And so, really simplifying everything. And then the third step is just stacking. All you have to do is you don't reinvent the wheel. When I log into my investment accounts, I'm just adding to my investments every single month. So remember step 1, I told you have to decide how much you want to contribute. All you do is you take that amount and you add it to the same mix you had before. And that's it. And then you watch it grow and you build confidence because you trust your strategy and you don't worry about the market. You don't watch it every day. You don't have to watch it very regularly at all because it's set up to return for you in the long term.
Yeah, this is so good. I love this. I'm just nodding and nodding. And sometimes this happens in interviews where I'm just soaking it up so much that I'm like, oh shit, I have to ask questions. But yeah, I hear you in that. The simplicity of it, once you kind of get past, like you said, the overwhelm, also finding somebody that you trust like yourself to guide people through, to give that recipe, that just makes all the difference. And that is just so fascinating too, how you're talking about that simplification. And with money, I know there's a lot of people listening that are already into investing, that already have a portfolio, and some people listening that are newer to it, especially if we come from like manifestation. I just want to manifest 10 grand a month. But when you break that down, okay, how much more do you need to make then per week? Or what does that translate into clients or the numbers of it? We start to go, oh, okay. And you can't avoid the plan. You can't avoid the numbers and just hope, like you said, that at retirement, you have it figured out. So I love that even for people that are a little bit more shy or intimidated by numbers, you're going, we have to have a goal. We have to make sure the numbers match up, and just taking deep breaths and putting that together and working toward that steadily. It just makes it make so much sense. And it is so empowering when you look at it like that. So I love everything you're saying here.
And I'll just touch on that too. The value of getting running the numbers now and doing the 30-second math, it's the difference between, because the more you invest earlier, the more you allow compounding to work for you. And people don't understand how compound interest works because it's like a microwave. It's like, I don't actually get the math behind it. So it seems crazy, but just think of it like a hockey stick. When you're looking at a chart, it's like exponential growth. So I put in a very small amount today or consistently over time. And the longer it sits there, it grows like an insane amount, like an unfathomable. Our brain can't even compute what exponential growth looks like because we're used to linear growth, which is a straight line. It's like, I work with this client and they pay me, $5,000. I work with 2 clients. They pay me 10,000. That's linear growth. But the value of doing the numbers today is that it's the difference between, if you wait, 10 years to figure it out, you might literally have to invest $10,000 a month to get the exact same portfolio size that $1,000 a month today could have gotten you. Mm-hmm. So the value of knowing what that number is means that you put in the dollars that you put in are so much smaller if you do the math now and give yourself more time.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And as you're saying, the hockey stick, it's like 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4, like that grows really fast. And then as you're saying, the uptick of that becomes 50 times 50, 100 times 100, like whatever, it gets fast, gets big really fast. Yeah.
You know what? There are a few things in life that experience exponential growth. Bacteria, COVID was one of them. So it's the reason that it wasn't just one person relaying it to another person. It's like exponentially growing because every person touches 5 more people. And before you know it, the whole fucking world is infected. So that's what exponential growth is, right? If it was just one person at a time, we wouldn't have had a shutdown.
It's like your
So
money becomes.
you leverage the power of that for your money. Imagine.
Yeah, your money's like a good virus. But that's even how
That's
health works. Like I have a background in health and nutrition, and I believe the body's always trying to regenerate. And like it's momentum. It's also the law of momentum where things pick up, as you're saying, at exponential growth. And it's so great to think about it with money because, as you said, with all the overwhelm and, heavy feelings, everything's expensive. And what I don't have, it almost brings some giddiness of like, ooh, like you're saying, little bits now exponentially grow over time. So I want to talk about that because you will talk about for a second the people that are more experienced or where we can take this, but for the people that aren't, I think there's a misconception around having to have 10 grand to put down or having to have a big lump sum. So I want to talk about that for a second, and even if it does require a lump sum, how maybe we can work toward that. And just when people come to you saying I don't have very much but I want to get started, where do you tend to go from there?
You can start investing in the stock market with $50, which is why I actually love market investing versus something like property. Property, you have to save up a down payment. And when you do that, you have all your money in one single asset class, and it takes you a long time to save that. But you can start, anyone, I don't care how much money you have right now, you can start investing in the market today. You don't need a lot. And then you grow your contributions over time. So you just decide, okay, I'm going to put this amount in. I'm going to set it up correctly. I'm going to learn the few things that Kristen's talked about here, that I structure it right. And then you just add to it. And the value of doing that is people don't realize how much money they lose by waiting, because they think, oh, I'll just wait, a year to do that. But if you never get started, it literally just never happens. And when we start earlier, what we don't realize is when we delay getting started, we cut off growth on the back end of the years. So not when your portfolio is like $1,000 or whatever it is today, you're cutting off growth later on when your portfolio is millions of dollars. So you're looking at, say you start with $1,000 and the market returns, 20% this year. Well, you've made, what is that? $200. So you're like, well, I could delay getting started. I've only made $200. But what you're actually doing is you're cutting off growth an extra year of, say you had a multi-million-dollar portfolio when you go to retire, an extra year of that. Think about 20% of $1 million.
And on the uptick of that stick, that's you when you're 60, 70, whatever. And that's when it's the biggest, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So it's $200,000 you've lost just from not starting a year later.
Oh my God, take my money.
It's going to be different for everybody, but we don't realize any of this stuff because no one is showing us the math.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Thank you for framing it that way, because it is easy to think also too, like when I'm going to get that lump sum later. But I know as well, when we get lump sums, there's usually things like, oh, the hot water tank, or we put it in some sort of savings that's not gaining a lot, or it's for the trip that's coming up. And so like you keep saying, if you don't start now, it literally never happens. And I love that because it's so true. And sometimes we just need to hear it with money. I know I need to hear it with money. So I do really appreciate that.
Yeah. And here's the thing, it's so important to be educated before you get the money, because what happens if you're not, then you're scrambling to figure out what to do with it. Then you've lost another 3 months or 6 months or a year. And either best case, your money is sitting in cash, which is terrible. But worst case, you've just spent it down because you don't actually know what to do with it. And I can't tell you how many people I've met that have gotten an inheritance or a payout from a legal thing, or, some other big cash that has come to them and they've spent it to zero. And they could be sitting on millions of dollars if they just put it in the right places. So you've got to get educated before the money comes in. Yeah,
I love that so much. And I love what you're speaking to, being a money multiplier rather than an earner, or is that what you said? A money maker versus a money multiplier. That's such a powerful way, because it makes me think of the dollars in my bank account right now. Could they be somewhere where it's multiplying? Of course, as you're saying, they could be, instead of how do I go and make more? That's such a powerful shift.
Yeah, totally.
So I want to ask too, as you take people through this, maybe some of the challenges people experience, how we can navigate this, hear more about that, some of what you can experience as you do start investing more in the way that you teach.
Yeah. So there are a couple of big mistakes that people make when they go to invest. So first is just haphazardly doing shit. Like I'm buying random stocks. It's like, and when you do that, you have no idea. It's gambling. It's like going to the casino, right? You have no idea if it's going to work or not. And it's actually very easy to make money, especially in the short term doing that. The girl online that, is day trading options. It's very easy to make money in the short term. It is impossible to make money consistently over time doing shit haphazardly. Like eventually what happens is if you have a couple bad bets, you always have a couple, bad bets that will give back all of your gains or mostly bad bets. So it's guesswork and gambling versus, back to the shortbread cookie. Like we're following a recipe. We're just modeling the pros that have actually done it consistently over decades and decades. And the other place that people go wrong is using advisors. So advisors, in my personal opinion, advisors are the single worst financial decision anyone will ever make with their money. And one of the reasons for that, there's 3 reasons that your self-managed portfolio will outperform an advisor. The first is advisory fees. This is a fee. It's between 1 to 1.5%. It's what you will see on your end of, financial year statements, if you're even looking at them. And it seems like a small fee, but remember I said compounding, right? Well, those fees, a 1% fee compounds. Guess how much over 30 years, 1%, it grows, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's not 1%. It actually gets to be a bigger percentage of your money over time. So 30 years from now, guess how much that 1% fee has grown to? What percent of your net worth do you think?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, but I hope it's not something like 30 or something like that.
25.
Oh my gosh.
So a 1% fee, people see it.
Whoa.
If you have a $200,000 portfolio right now, 1% fee is going to display as $2,000 on your investment report. You're like, $2,000 for someone else to manage my money. Great. But it's not $2,000. It's 25% of your net worth. And no advisor will ever tell you that. No one's ever going to show you that. And you'll never ever see it. It's just taken out of your returns. And then there are other hidden fees that are attached to any funds that you're invested in. And those fees are bigger. So by the time you've paid those fees and you haven't seen them, they don't have to legally disclose those fund fees, which is completely insidious. But by the time you've paid those, most people on average pay 2/3 of their portfolio to fees and they only take home 1/3. So the challenge with this is that you don't even know that you've paid this. You just get to retirement, you have what you have, but you could have had 3 times more or more than that. I've seen fees up to like 6% when I look at clients' portfolios because I review everybody's. It's insanity. So back to what you were saying before, think about it like, we're working so hard in our business. For every 10 grand you're making, imagine every 10 grand after not just business revenue, but profit that you put in your pocket. Imagine somebody came by and stole 6,600 of it. Like, would you allow that to happen?
Hell no.
But that is what we are saying yes to when we use advisors. Our money is bleeding. And the third thing is that advisors, almost all of them, underperform the market. I review clients' portfolios. I've done hundreds of them now. I've never once seen an advisor managed portfolio that was even matching the market average. But most people have no idea what their returns are, no idea what they're invested in. And most people couldn't tell you right now what the market average return was for the last 12 months. I pulled the charts this morning. It was 30%, which means that if your portfolio didn't make at least 30% over the last 12 months, it's underperforming. And most people don't know what their portfolio did, and their advisor's not really telling them. And so that's, one thing. Ask your advisor, what are your long-term returns? Just ask them, see if they tell you, see if they spin you around in circles. Ask them, what are you paying? What are you charging me in fees? What do those fees compound to over time? Clients are asking advisors questions. I've never once had an advisor answer that question. I've literally had advisors tell clients they can't do the math. I'm like, I have a spreadsheet that I give clients that we do the math in 10 seconds. Trust me, you can do the math. You just don't want to. So this is, I'll share one other example. Warren Buffett has a famous bet. He bet a group of hedge fund managers $1 million each that they couldn't outperform the market average over a 10-year time period. None of them did. And hedge fund managers are some of the highest paid asset managers in the world. So if they're not doing it, because they're getting fancy, they're trying to outperform, they're trying to do all these crazy things, they're trying to, day trade, do whatever they do. And simple boring beats fancy footwork every time. Yeah. So when we build, and back to your question, how can we be how can we be so confident in the returns is because we are relying, when we build portfolios the way I do, I'm not relying on guesswork and gambling. I'm relying on the market average, which is a reflection of every single company in the market, in different areas and different sectors. That's what I say when, what do we have to put in it? Well, you have to select a few things and you have to do it in a way that matches your risk tolerance. But we're relying on all of the companies in the market and the growth of them on average. So when we construct portfolios that way, for us to lose all our money, every company in the market would have to go to zero. They would all have to go bankrupt, and that would just never happen. However, if you just pick one or two, it is possible for you to lose all your money. And so when we build this way, we're literally just riding the coattails of the growth of all of the companies that are just, their whole mandate is to grow and return value to shareholders. And we're just like riding their coattails to the top. So the market goes up and down every day. And some days, some months, some weeks, it goes down. But on the average, over the long run, it goes up. And we perform so well consistently. We can look at these numbers over decades. Over decades, the market average is, 10 to 15%. So we're just relying on that average. We're just being very boring, very simple. We're not trying to outperform. We're just setting it up to ride the wave up.
Oh, I love that so much. It reminds me of just the truth of life. There's no one fancy way to eat that solves all your problems. There's no one fancy mantra that, heals all your shit. And there's no one fancy way, especially all these new things. Like you said, you may get a bunch of money short term, but these tested and true, it's like the slow and steady wins the race. It's like, it's just fucking true. And I love that you help empower women to really see behind that curtain, to go, it's actually not that scary, not that high risk. Over time, we're going to go. And I just love that. Because again, it feels so grounded. It feels so real. And I know that Warren Buffett has done this forever. There is a formula to what he does. He's obviously got that formula nailed. So I just really appreciate this so much. So as we start to wrap this up, I just love to ask, first of all, why do you feel that this makes all the difference when it comes to wealth creation, multiplying your money, and if there's anything left unsaid that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I think, of course, I teach like the tactics of investing, and you need to know the strategy. The tactics are important, but the work is so much deeper than this, because when a woman is financially empowered, she walks into rooms differently. Money for many women is the one area of their life that they've just like can't fucking figure out. We feel like we feel like we're bad at math. We just feel like investing sometimes is this black box, and we have so much shame around it. And we have shame around, I should have more, I should be further ahead. I should already know this already. And when that shame dissolves, you feel so free. And, being financially empowered is important, because then we have the freedom to make choices in life, not based on money. A woman that doesn't have the financial resources or isn't financially empowered has to stay in a marriage that isn't aligned, has to buy food that doesn't serve her body, has to live a life that isn't her most expansive version of herself, as far as like travel or the things she wants to do, or, you get to live a life of total freedom and deep, deep alignment when you don't have to make choices for the money. And that's really what I want for all women, because, and it's such a turn on, investing is such a turn on when you know what the fuck you're doing. It's exciting. It's really fun. And I want that for women everywhere.
That's so true. Oh, I love this so much, because you're right. It's that freedom. And I know that pretty much everybody listening, freedom is a core value. It's a core desire. That's why we want the money. It's not just to like have stacks of cash. It's to, as all the things you said, to be able to do your yoga class and fly over here and do a retreat and get education and drink organic, fresh pressed juice and whatever it is that you want to do. You're so right. And I really get that sense of like, start now, continue multiplying it now. It pays off in the long run. And it's so, so empowering. So thank you so much. This has just been an incredible conversation. So you have a free gift for us. Let us know what that is.
Yes. So it's an investment growth calculator. I spent ages building this, and it shows you in 30 seconds your retirement math or your financial freedom math. You don't even have to think about retirement. Throw out that word if you hate it. But it shows you, based on my current portfolio size, you can plug in your numbers. You're the only one that gets to see them. Based on my current portfolio size, and maybe that's zero, all good. And when I want to retire, and, you know, how much I need to contribute to get there and how much that portfolio will be paying me. So you can play around with some of these numbers and you can see, you know, what different numbers will do for you. And you can know like, okay, what is realistic to get me on track? And then after that, if you want to, you know, learn to invest, set it all up, reach out to me, because it is, you know, such a gift to be able to teach women this work.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to put the link below. And if you guys are in part of the insider circle, it's already in your inbox to grab that calculator. I appreciate that. That's so awesome. I can't wait to do it. Just entering, doing the math, breathing, knowing it's all going to be okay. You've got such a great energy for that and great tools. I thank you again for this whole conversation. And you also have a prize contribution for this week. Let me know what one person is winning.
Yes, we are going to gift a private portfolio audit. So that's a 30-minute call. Me and you on a call. We'll jump on. I'll map out your, you know, your financial freedom numbers. I'll show you, you know, where any gaps are in your portfolio. We'll talk about where things are at. And if things are everywhere, it's a bit of a mess. You're like, I haven't logged into my accounts in ages. Don't worry. We'll sort your way through it. We'll highlight any gaps. I'll show you opportunities to add, you know, 6 to 7 figures in extra growth and give you a plan forward.
Thank you so much. That's so generous. And that lucky winner is very lucky. So thank you so much for that, Kristen. This has been such an incredible conversation. And if somebody wants to come find you, hang out, get more of this energy, where do you hang out online and where are the best places to go?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, kristenwonch.xox, KristenWonch.xox, or on Facebook, just my name. You can message me there and yeah, tell me what landed for you and, you know, what questions you have. My DMs are always open. I'm happy to support.
I'll put those links in the show notes. And again, this has just been incredible. Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Transformation Summit. Make sure to take what this guest said, implement it into your life, check the show notes for their gift and to follow along on the journey, and make sure to tune in to the next guest episode. Namaste.